Hey there, Board Game Maniacs, and thank you for joining me for this next episode with the Paint For Me for the theme month of Games Workshop. Who we have here is Pippin from Lord of the Rings Quest to Mount Doom. It is a board game, and if you've been following along, we've already painted Frodo and Sam, and now we're on to Pippin, and then after Pippin we're going to go to Merry, and we're just going to keep continuing on until we paint all of the 9 characters from the game. And today is none other than Pippin. I really like Pippin. Into the movies, into the book, really cool, but actually more the movie than anything at all. I like who the actor is, how he played him, portrayed him and everything. But in either case, enough with the intro, let's start with the painting. We're going to first paint Pippin's pants and his hair all with the same color, and the color we're using is going to be Citadel's Rhinox Hide. It is a darker brown, and I'm just going by the picture that from the game manual itself, so we're just going to start off with him. Very basic again, just going to start off with, again, I got my super fine or insane detail brush that I'm going to be painting, and it's pretty simple. He's got a close color scheme to what Frodo did, or what we just painted with Frodo previously, so he's going to be very close, you know, brown hair. It's just the only thing that really separates Pippin is he has a blue jacket and a red cloak. So that's kind of like the big main difference between him and Frodo's character for paint scheme wise, I should say. And that's pretty much it. I'm hoping you're enjoying the Paint With Me series that I'm doing for this month for the Games Workshop. I'm enjoying painting these miniatures on camera. I'm definitely learning a lot of things by doing this with camera angle and lighting and everything towards them lines. It's definitely, like I said, it's a challenge for me, because it's a challenge just painting the miniatures because I'm not a professional miniature painter. And from there, I'm just, you know, winging it as I go along, and you're just watching the creative process on camera as we unfold it in front of you and myself. I like how Sam and Frodo has turned out, though. I'm not a big negativity about that. Like, I'm very pleased with the way they turned out. I hope you liked them too as well. And we're just going to continue on from there. That's his pants done. It's very quick. You know, I got some on his sword, but as we all know from the other 2 videos that I did, I will fix those mistakes as we go along by adding the color over it, you know, like touch-ups and so forth. I'm sure everybody makes some kind of mistakes when they're starting out painting and everything too as well. So that is his pants. I'm just going to paint his hair now. So again, he has like medium length hair. It's brown. Trying to get it so I don't get it on his face, because we all know how much I love painting skin, or flesh tones I should say. It's going to be fun when I'm painting the other miniatures from a different game where it's primarily has like flesh tones for a lot of the body. So you're going to see me messing up a lot, but hey, you learn from your mistakes, or at least I hope you would learn from your mistakes, and we just continue on from that. Just trying to keep him in focus and on camera. Just painting this away. He's got a little bit of a bangs going on there. Just trying to do it as gentle as possible. Or as careful as possible. And gently too as well, so I don't mess up. Like, people painting the eyes and the pupils and everything else, that is absolutely insane detail, and it definitely takes a lot of time and practice to get it right. I've tried it off camera to paint some pupils, and it quickly turned out to be such a huge disappointment to mess. But practice makes perfect, as they say, because you never know what's going to happen. But that is Pippin's hair and his pants done. And since we got the brown out, the Rhinox hide, I might as well just paint the little hair on the top of his feet too as well. Because, after all, he is a hobbit, and they do have their hairy feet. So I'm just going to quickly go over that. Just like that. I'm kind of whispering a little bit as I'm painting it. Because it's just, that's what I do. I talk to the miniatures. I'm a miniature talker. If you're like me and you talk to your miniatures when you're painting, please comment down below, or just, you may not want to admit it, but if you do, and you say, hey, I talk to them, then just let me know, because I talk to them and it's on camera, so you obviously know that I'm talking to the miniatures. Anyhow, so that is his pants, his hair, and his feet done. So let's do the jacket now. It's going to be a blue color. For Pippin's jacket, it is a blue in the picture. I'm going to go with that, but maybe a little darker shade. I'm doing Cantor blue, and I'm just going to paint it as is. I'm not going to dilute this color itself. I'm going to keep it all in the blue, like in the blue. I'm going to keep it all with the exact unwatered down color. I'm struggling for my words here. So yeah, just painting away. Please also give me constructive criticism on my painting techniques and everything, please. Again, be nice, because I'm not a skilled veteran painter by no means. I'm learning as I go along. And everybody has to start somewhere. They can't just pick it up and say like, hey, I'm painting a miniature and it is an absolute masterpiece. Because I don't think anybody could paint it as a well, I can't say anybody can do it right away as a masterpiece, because you could just be like a very skillful painter and just know all your stuff and be great at it the first time, but it takes time, and you learn by your mistakes, and I'm definitely learning from my mistakes. Just like looking at the miniature before you paint it, examine it all over, because if I flip it around, I kind of painted the cloak a bit, but I can fix that when I paint the cloak the color that it's going to be. So I gotta just paint it very carefully. Now, I know everybody's probably saying, you need to water down your paints so that it's not going to cover up the details. And I'm 100% agreeing with you, which is sometimes I feel that I don't need to water down all the paints that I'm using. Am I wrong? Comment and let me know. Like, hey, this is the reason why you always water down your paints or dilute your paints. Most part I do dilute them. Sometimes I don't, and this is probably the one time so far on video that I'm not diluting them, and I'm not even on camera. Oh, that's the bane right there, is because I am not following my monitor, which I have so that I can keep the shot lined up. For some reason or another, I'm just not looking at the monitor. Well, I'm not supposed to really be looking at the monitor, because if I was looking at the monitor, it'd make my painting a little bit more difficult than what it already is. So I just have to momentarily glance up at it so that I can make sure I'm in frame properly. That's actually looking okay. Missed the spot right there though. You can see just right there. Just gonna go in very gently without hitting his hair and giving him blue hair. It'd be a punk rock Pippin. Yeah, it would suit him really, because the character, he actually, I think he's a singer in a band, if I'm not mistaken. Like the actor, not Pippin himself. But that looks like I got everything covered there, except for on the bottom. I'm thinking what I might do is look at, if this is going to go over well with the painting, I may look at getting like a GoPro that's, you know, with a head strap so that it's always going to be what I'm looking at. So it may make things a little easier. I don't know, like for everybody out there, I've already mentioned this in the previous video, but for everybody who does painting tutorials, you know, just send me a message in the comment section, or even just email me at boardgamemaniacs@gmail.com and let me know what your setup is. Like, what do you like to do, and like, do you like using a GoPro that got a head strap? Did you try it before and you didn't like it? I want to know what would be the best way to do this. I've watched a lot of them, and I've seen some that just have cameras set up on a tripod like I'm doing and zoomed in. And I've seen some that actually use head strap cameras, because when they turn their head, you can see the camera is moving along with it. So obviously it is attached to them in some way, shape, or form. So just let me know what way you do it, and I'll just continue on from there, because I want to try to get the best quality videos after I learn to paint a lot better than what I do. But still, it's all a learning process, and you know, at least you can watch this and just enjoy while you're painting itself, or even just listen to it. My voice is not that annoying, so ha ha ha. In either case, I'm just being silly right now. That is Pippin painting. He's got a rock. I just noticed. I'm going to paint that gray. But Pippin's jacket, the base coat is on with the Cantor blue. So now I'm going to paint, the cloak is going to be red. And after I paint the cloak, then we're going to paint the scarf, and then the rock and the sword. So let's just go and do the cloak now. For Pippin's cloak, I am going to be painting it with corn red, as you can see there. And just, I'll be highlighting it now. I'm probably going to use a lighter red for the highlights. I don't know yet. I may just go straight to white. But in either case, this is what we're going to do, is just go ahead and paint away and hope for the best. So you can see there. Painting. And again, I'm not watering this paint down now. I'm just going straight out of the pot. Just like so. Pretty basic. So I'm going to finish painting his cloak, and I'll be back after I'm done painting his cloak. Now that Pippin's cloak is painted, you can see, yeah, it turned out okay. I'm happy with this cloak so far, just for the base coat. Now we are going to paint Pippin's scarf. Now he has his scarf here. You can see right there. And I'm going to paint it with some Xandri dust. In the picture it is like kind of like a cross between an off-white and a brown. Then it also has the wash onto it. So I'm going to go kind of in between and just choose a tan color and paint it that way. You can see how that looks. Can always, you know, just paint over it if I have to. No big deal. Just very carefully. Painting away, painting. Now I've painted some Team Yankee stuff, and like that's small, it's 15 millimeter, and I thought it'd be like super difficult to paint because it's so small, but in actuality it's a lot faster. I know he's kind of off camera, just checking the angle to make sure I got all of his scarf. But because we were so small, it was just so much faster to paint. The details were still there. And the paint, it was just, you know, it's a little difficult. But we managed to get along. I'm just checking to see. Yeah, so that's his scarf is all done. That was pretty quick. So after his scarf, we're going to paint his sword, and then we're going to paint the rock in his hand before we do the wash onto him. For painting his sword, I'm going to paint the handle first on the block. And I'm going to paint that with some Balthazar gold. You can see that there. But yeah, I'm going to paint with Balthazar gold first. So this is just the block. So yeah, very, very easy. Like that. Got to get both sides because it is a 3D miniature. It's not a 2D. We're getting there. Kind of off camera for that, but I had to make sure I got his handle properly. He's got a good grip onto it. So that's that part. And now I'm going to paint the blade itself of the sword. And I'm going to use none other than what I've been using this whole time for painting, and that's Rufang steel. Let's give this a quick shake. Hopefully not hitting the camera. Rufang steel, and you've seen one sword being painted. You never see them all being painted because everybody paints them differently. So there we go for the sword. I do the other side, but you don't need to watch me do that. Now I'm just going to paint up the rock, and I'm using the same color that I've done for the bases, the draw stone color. There we go, draw stone color. It's like a grayish, a light gray, like the mid gray. And I'm just painting this rock as carefully as possible without painting over his fingers. What colors do you guys like to use and girls like to use for the rocks? Like rocks in general, because a lot of tabletop games have rocks. Like I've seen so many tabletops with rocks, and I have a lot of rocks too as well, or even stone in general. And just curious, like what colors do you use for your rocks? And that's it for that before I put the wash on. So that's it. I'm just going to let him dry, and I'll be back so that we can throw the washes onto him. Again, we're going to follow the same process that we did for the other two miniatures, and that is Recklin flesh shade, I should say. We're going to put that water down from 70% of the shade to 30% water. And then we're going to do the agar shade undiluted and putting it all over the rest of the miniature. Now, one thing I did off camera that I didn't show, it's off camera means I didn't show it, is because I'm going to do the wash and everything now, is I put the sand onto the base, and I also painted it with draw stone gray too as well. Now, if you're not sure how I did this, you can follow the other two previous videos because I did it step by step there too as well. But just to speed things up in this video, as I figured I'd do that. And now I'm going to do my washes, starting with the skin tone. And again, I'm using the Recklin Flesh shade. And to put that onto it, you know, just very gently putting it on, and I'm not like oversaturating the skin too much. There we go, it's in frame. And again, putting it on the hand. And on the other hand, I'm just gonna flip it back around here. Just like so. And the last part that I'm putting it on is the feet. There's that. And can't forget the heels in the back. Pretty simple. Putting it on this part too as well. And you can leave it sit and pull like you want, or you can take some excess off. It's up to you. All right, it's better. Let's turn back around. So you can see Mary now, his face is all done. And the next thing is I'm going to add the Agrax Earthshade on all of the rest of him, and then null oil onto the base. And my voice is all cracking again. So there is the Agrax Earthshade, and this one is undiluted. I'm not watering it down by any way. I'm just throwing it on exactly the way it is. And of course, I'm avoiding the skin tone, the hands and the feet. But I'm doing it on the top of the head where his hair is, you know, his arms, all of the material, like clothing. Just throwing it on there. You can see. Getting a really good dirt to it. Again, if you don't like part of it, you can just go in and wipe it off. Get a damp brush and wipe it off. So there you go. That's the Agrax Earthshade, and it's on the sword too. Just make sure I got it all here. Next thing I'm doing is I'm just going to do the base with the null oil. Now I don't have to show that on camera because there's no special way of putting it on. I'm just pasting it on, well not pasting, but just brushing it on, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like when that is all finished. There you go, that's all the wash. You can see on the base there, I just put it on, and I'm just gonna leave everything sit and go down and pull in all the crevices and everything. And some Agrax Earthshade will probably go down onto the base part, but I'm not worried about it because it's a ground. I'm gonna do some highlighting too as well. So I'm not too worried. So when this is all dry, we'll be back and I'll show, and we'll start the highlights. Now, since all the wash is dry, the shade, you can see it's all dry on the base and on the miniature itself. Now we're going to start doing some highlighting. And we're going to start off with highlighting his jacket. And for his jacket, we are going to throw the highlight of rust gray onto it and see how that looks. And again, I'm just wanting to put it onto some edges of his jacket and the wrinkles. Just to bring out some of the natural highlight. And on his pocket too. See a little bit that's going on right here. Wiping it off a bit. I always keep my brush wet or damp. Cuffs too as well. His jacket. And just continuing on here. I'm actually being quiet while I'm doing this. So this kind of more drastic highlighting, like I did for Sam. Frodo was more subtle. This is kind of more cartoony. I may go to Frodo before I see him and kind of just add this kind of drastic highlights too as well. So I like the way that this is highlighting. Just my style and what I like. And plus it kind of shows up on camera a little better. So like that. See if there's anywhere else. Right there, just slightly. And the amount of product I'm using is like very, very little. Back of his elbow too. And continuing on with like this part of his arm, the wrinkles, elbow. And going on with his cup some more. Just like that. Maybe a little bit more on this side. As you can see, there are wrinkles just on this part. Try not to have as much dead air when I'm on camera as possible, because quietness is boring and it feels a little on the awkward side. But that is for, it's kind of messy there. I'm gonna have to clean that up a little bit, add some more highlights. So I'll be back after I'm done finishing off with the highlights and cleaning up just the part there. You can see there, I want to fix that up a bit. I just add a little more of the base coat, the Cantor Blue, to just tone it down a bit in spots. Just on the edging I want it. So that's it. Now we're going to do his pants, and I'm going to use some Gawthorne Brown. And I'm just going to highlight like around his knees a bit, and just ever so slightly though. So hopefully you can see that. Picking up some of the highlights, just very subtle, to try and get that done. And just little bits, just so you can kind of see it. It's been a little dirty, you know, that sort of stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to highlight his cloak next. I'm using some Evil Sun Scarlet. It's not focused. There we go. And then I'm going to do that for the highlights of his cloak. So again, I'm kind of just wanting to grab like the little wrinkles that are here, just to show up a bit. Like that, very easy. And just keep adding and painting. Not even on camera. You can see where I'm painting it though. just like that. And turning him around to get more of this area now. Just to bring out more of the wrinkles in his cloak. I'd like to hear your process for doing your highlighting, because I'm always wanting to learn more and more. Especially doing miniature painting, I want them to look, you know, halfway decent. Like, I'm okay at painting, I guess, but I would like to be better than what I am. And by watching, what I've learned is just from talking to people and watching other tutorials for painting online and kind of just going from there. So if you have any recommendations for tutorials on what I should watch to help me with something, by all means, just comment down below or send me an email and say like, hey, you should watch this. You should go to this YouTube channel, or this is what I did, and just to be, so I can get more information, because knowledge is power. And you know, it helps with everything. And I want to increase my skill level. My head's kind of in the way, sorry about that. I want to increase my skill level for my painting, because if I'm going to continue on painting miniatures, and even like on the channel, like I want to, so people that are watching and following along with Board Game Maniacs, that they can see my skill level increasing over time, and it just, that way it just makes things a little better. So yeah, I'm just painting here. There's some sand on his cloak too, just to make it look a little more grimy. I'm thinking with this hair cloak, I may actually throw on a good amount of mud for Pippin, because he's not the most cautious hobbit. So you can see there where I'm starting to build up the highlights. Just kind of going over them gently. Just like that. It's not too bad. You can see though that like the little bumps here, this is from the sand when I glued it, but no big deal. So these highlights are starting to show out more, show up. Alright, it's a little better in focus there. So I think the next thing I'm going to highlight is going to be his hair. And I'm going to just probably dry brush that on, and I'm going to use like a lighter brown color. With this hair, I'm just going to stick with Orthone Brown and just dry brush onto his hair, just to bring out like all of the little highlights, or the raised areas. There we go. Just add a little bit of dimension to it. I know I'm using a really big brush for such a small area. There we go. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Not too shabby. And I just took a little bit of the Palette Witch flesh and I kind of touched up the scarf a bit. And I'm going to do his sword, and I'm using Rufang Steel again and just going over to highlight his sword again. Just like so. And got a little bit of the edging there. And I'm thinking, he's getting close to being done. I think the only other step is I'm going to highlight the rock and then do the base part. And I'll be back after I do that because you've seen that before on the other two videos, so I don't have to show it again. And there you have it. Mary is complete, not Mary, Pippin, sorry. Pippin is finished. His base is done, washed, and I got you can still see that the rim is kind of still drying. I use the leather Minotaur color, not the red, the brown Minotaur color that I use for all the other bases too as well. And just turn them around. And I also put some sterling mud onto the bottom of his cloak there because he is a hobbit walking, trenching through the mud and everything else. He's going to be dirty. But that's it. That is the third hobbit done out of the 4 hobbits. And then next video that you're going to see is going to be Mary. We're going to paint Mary up, and then after it we're going to start on to like Gandalf possibly, or Aragorn. I'm not 100% sure what we're going to start off next, but I do know that Mary is next in this series of painting along with me for the month of Games Workshop. So I hope you enjoyed this. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if you'd like to see more painting with me videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell notification. And if you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, just look us up on Patreon, and you can do a nominal fee of $2 a month or a one-time fee of $2 a month. And a little bit helps, so it helps us buy more paints, buy more games, you know, and going to upgrade our equipment and so forth to get better shots, and, you know, maybe pay for some painting classes for me. Who knows? But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this. So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger. Because of you, the viewers, I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.